welcome here to more TALKFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. And although Barca have only just finished their final game of the year, we're not quite at the January transfer window, but that has not stopped some very, very big news coming our way today. We are going to be discussing why Barca are on the verge of signing Ferran Torres and all of the details ahead of a deal that is expected to go through very, very soon. And we're also going to be discussing why Ousmane Dembele's future may indeed be key in this deal. It is all coming up. Ferran and Dembele. Let's get to it. Because as we know, Barca have been intensely linked with Ferran Torres, the 21-year-old Spanish forward for Man City, over the past few months, it has to be said, especially since Xavi's arrival. Things have really intensified. There's even been meetings in Manchester there between the hierarchy at Man City and indeed Barcelona. And it's been very, very clear that not only Barca want the player in January, but the player has always wanted to come. Now, originally, Man City were very firm on this, that they are under absolutely no pressure to sell Ferran. He has a contract with them right now until 2025. They clearly don't need the money, so why indeed would they sell? And they said, look, we want 75 million. We want a massive fee here. If you're going to take Ferran away from us, we want big money. Because this is not a player that Man City want to lose, not the club, or indeed Pep Guardiola. It has to be said there that Pep rates this guy incredibly highly. He was very key there in bringing Ferran to the club. He's enjoyed working with him, developing his game, and Pep does not want Ferran to go. But such was the desire from Ferran Torres himself, such was the hunger and the will to leave Man City, to leave a club there that have got aspirations of winning the Champions League, to join Barca, to come here right now when this season we're in the Europa League. But still, he wants to be part of it. He wants to be at this club and he is willing to do anything to make that possible. That in itself is absolutely unbelievable. And because of that will of the player, and because Man City are not really a club who stand in their players' way, if they want to leave, if they don't want to be there, they will respect those wishes. And I appreciate that. I think that's a really good thing that they've done, because the fee now, according to multiple reports, is going to be 55 million for Ferran Torres to take him to Barca, which is a mega deal there, signing a player not only for the future there at the young age that he's at, but also with the quality that he has. He's a player for now, and I've got to give big credit here to Mattia Almani. He has been the man leading the charge for Ferran, who of course he has a really good relationship with from their time together at Valencia. This is a big deal, and even more so in a winter transfer window. But it gets better too, because this is not only an important deal for the club to help, of course, with our objectives, and we've managed to negotiate there a very decent transfer fee, but better still, when it comes to the personal terms, again, Ferran is showing how much he wants to join. Because even though right now he's actually one of Man City's lowest earners, they've got, of course, quite a high wage bill, nothing like ours, but it is still quite a big one. He's right the way down the list. But even so, when he comes to Barca, he's willing to reduce that salary. He understands our situation with the La Liga wage cap, and he is willing to reduce that in order to make this move happen. And you can just feel how much he wants to be here, leading us into that new era. And this is somebody, let's not forget, that Xavi has personally requested. It's since he came to the club, there's been a lot of talks there between Xavi and the board about what he needs, the players that he needs to come in order to succeed as the Barcelona coach. And quite clearly, he knows how and where he's going to use Ferran Torres. He's got a very clear idea of where he's going to fit in his team. That's so important. And especially in wide areas, he's somebody as well who can play through the middle. He can score goals. He's got a really clinical touch in front of goal that I think we'd all agree we've been desperately missing. And at 21 years old, this for me, top signing. However, before we do all get very excited about the prospect there of bringing Ferran Torres in a January transfer window and him really improving the team for the rest of the season and indeed the coming years, one thing that I do have to say, I did allude to it just then, there are problems right now in terms of bringing players in terms of making signings. It's not necessarily about the money, it's not about the transfer fee, it's not about the fact that we have no money to spend. Our biggest problem is La Liga's unbelievably strict wage cap, which has really limited us this season in what we can do in terms of signings, in terms of registering players, and it's been very clear that in January, Almani himself has confirmed it, that we will need departures or reductions to be able to register those new signings. Which is why we move on to Ousmane Dembele and his future. And I just wonder here whether this Ferran news breaking today about the deal being very, very close to being agreed, does that tie in as well with Dembele's future? Because as we know right now, talks are ongoing between the two parties. Lots of offers have gone Dembele's way, as Dembele there has been given an offer by the club that if he accepted it, it would be a significant reduction in salary if he was to stay and pledge his future to the club. And that is very significant, because if Dembele, for instance, were to sign that deal, that would mean then that suddenly that wage bill, a bit of room appears. Because if you renew Dembele now and he accepts it, the amount that has been reduced, that's money to play with. That is money there that is free then in your wage bill that we can use for players coming in January. And I do just wonder now, especially with reports today as well, the latest is that Dembele wants to stay. Now, we haven't heard that for quite a few weeks now. The fact that Dembele actually is saying, you know what, I want to be here. He does want to continue at the club. Still, nothing has been signed. Still, there's nothing official being agreed. And his agents still want him to go. They are really trying to push him towards that exit door. But the latest is that Dembele wants to stay, wants to continue under Xavi at Barça. But of course, what he has to do, if he does want to be here, if he does want to stay, sign that deal. Because if he does sign that deal now, it not only confirms his future, gives us another option in those wide areas, but it also gives us money to play with in January. Wages there that have been freed up, which will certainly go a long way to acquiring Ferran Torres. So indeed, guys, there is plenty going on at the club right now. Like I say, we've only just finished our final game of the year, but already things are happening. And this is exactly how we needed to approach January, because we all know that we are showing real promise right now. We're moving very much so in the right direction. But what we also have to do now is build upon that. And that means adding players, very key players like Ferran, who fit in to Xavi's image, his idea about the way that he wants to play, bolster that squad and make the next push, the next charge now to get back to where we really do belong. Please do leave your thoughts on what you feel about the Ferran deal. If it does indeed go through, how will you feel about having him as a Barcelona player? And what do you make there about those latest reports on Dembele's possible renewal? Let me know those thoughts down below. I will certainly be interested to see what you guys have got to say. Thank you indeed for watching, and of course for supporting. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.